What's good, YouTube? Welcome back to the Brown Gent. Back here with another massive crypto airdrop update for you guys. It's been a pretty long day, so I won't be able to do an AMA, but let's get into it. And before we do, just remember nothing I say here is financial advice. If you want extra coaching, guidance, and support, we do have a private group. Check the details out in the description below. We started off really hot this morning with an announcement from Polyhedron Network. So many of you probably have heard of this protocol. It's one of the many interoperability protocols that we've been farming. Interoperability is very different from a traditional bridge because bridges sort of work within sort of networks. So like you can bridge from EVM chain to EVM chain. What is vastly different about interoperability is you're actually able to sort of swap your funds from something like EVM to Solana to IBC, truly allowing sort of that interoperability. That's why it's called that. Now, Polyhedra followed in Wormhole's footsteps in announcing their airdrop. They haven't sort of announced an allocation. For example, they've given us some criteria. So this morning, if you took a look, you could literally see what made people eligible. So if you had transactions on the ZK bridge, if you were a Pandora King holder, ZK bridge loyalty points, if you participated in other campaigns like Binance, OKX, BNB chain airdrop marathon. So tons of different ways to qualify. And I'm sure people, when they see this, people are almost always sort of never that happy because people don't do sort of the most. Why does it keep going back? And just so you guys know, the snapshot was taken at 8 a.m. UTC yesterday morning. Like right now, it's midnight here in Toronto, or 12:50. But great to see that it's sort of coming along. In fact, I did some transactions for on the ZK bridge. Not just that, but I also owned a legendary Pandora King. If I look back here, when did I buy it? If I go to details, trading history, I bought this about a month ago for $316. And as you can see, by the way, just so you guys know, the price of this has gone up so much. It went up to like 0.9 BNB. But the moment that they announced this snapshot, it literally just sold off. And at this point, for me, I'd rather just hold it regardless. The true test will be the airdrop that I'll get from ZK. Will it make up the difference between the $316 that I spent and the $67 this is still worth? So $250. I think it'll do more than that, of course, as well. Sort of ZK bridge. If you haven't gone here and you haven't checked it out, go to your wallet, click on token, go to history, and you can just navigate through and see some of the transactions that you've done, right? So you can see here February 8th, 0.197 ETH. Kind of annoyed that I did these small BS transactions as well, so I hope I didn't dilute myself. But we'll talk about that very soon. Another update is Wormhole. So, this actually was incredible alpha. Wormhole dropped their airdrop eligibility guide about 2 days ago. This was something I went into, dissected it. I posted on Twitter how it's so important to study these things because Wormhole sort of gave us an insight as to how they were checking sort of wallet clusters, how they were checking out sort of Cybele kind of activity. Very, very important. And I think this is like something that if you truly want to learn about what's going on, you would do really well, especially if you're farming airdrops, to understand what the biggest protocols have done, because don't forget, other protocols are going to be watching. So for Wormhole, if you haven't already, make sure you go to the Wormhole airdrop page. I put the links to everything in the description. Check out sort of your wallets and make sure you check it out. The claim window has not started. When it does, I will let you guys know, either on YouTube, on YouTube for sure, and as well as in Twitter. So this is something I think we really ought to spend some time on. I know it says 14-minute read. There's no way I'm going to make 14 minutes talking about this, especially since I'm so close to passing out. I'm super exhausted. But one of the things you've got to realize is, look, no matter what a community does, they're never going to please everyone, right? What they wanted to do is really sort of set the new standard for how projects communicate airdrops to users, and also like give a lot of clarity on their decision making and what they did. So their summary here, February 6th, they qualified about 400K wallets. They are airdropping about 700 million tokens, representing 6.78% of the total supply. And they wanted people to understand the eligibility criteria. So basically, they wanted to make sure that on-chain users were the largest recipients of the airdrop. 81% went to on-chain users. And the snapshot includes millions of unique wallets interacting with the Wormhole ecosystem over 3 years. Now, I'm not going to go into all the nitty gritty, but I really think it's worthwhile for you to read this. You can see here they sort of identified clusters of wallets, which they sort of call interconnected wallets. And basically, they use all of this together to identify rewards for a single user despite certain wallets not interacting with each other. So for example, in this case, wallet E never interacts with wallet A, but they know they're combined because of sort of these interactions. So they had a really good protocol to figure this out. So here's a takeaway for you, though. The total reward for qualifying users was distributed amongst all wallets in their ownership cluster, which means, like, for example, even if you sort of, they're part of the same cluster, each single one will have its own airdrop allocation. So it's critical for you to make sure that you sort of check every single one of your wallets that's ever interacted with any single Wormhole application, because that way, it's a sum of all of that you'll be receiving. So the other thing they did is also they wanted to have an idea of fund analysis. So they took a look at different ways it was taking place. Diffusion funding, in this case, it came from a sort of, one wallet sort of giving it to everybody. And another, it was sort of one wallet funding a second wallet, which then funded a few wallets, which then funded a few wallets here. Same thing. Behavioral clustering. Now, this is something I've told you guys a lot. I gave an example of what happened to me at a nightclub before, but if you start doing very repetitive actions, almost like very like automated, like same amount, same time, same frequency, like, you do 10 transactions for $5 each on every single wallet in a certain time period, they're going to start clustering together to sort of identify Cybele activity. And that's sort of what happened here. They also had a sort of transaction spam analysis to sort of understand and sort of disqualify people. Now, their rewards algorithm, there's a ton of things here, but basically Wormhole mainnet launched 3 years ago. They're looking at time. They're looking at cumulative transfers, right? So you have to meet a minimum cumulative value transferred across all linked wallets to be eligible. In this case, the threshold is $1,500 in cumulative value after adjustments. The threshold was lower for early and consistent ecosystem protocol users and higher for newer users. This is to prevent sort of Cybele and sort of, airdrop farmers from just coming in and grabbing it. They also sort of take a look at sort of, was the user activity consistent for 3 months or more? You get bonus. Was it before December 1st, 2023? You get a bonus. Did you get activity in the bear market? Bonus. Were you part of the first sort of year? Bonus. Did you do over 10K in value? Bonus. Remember what I told you guys? When you are using bridges, when you're using interoperability, you are literally paying a flat rate, unless you're doing a swap in the end. So like Sushi Swap is an example, right? Use layer 0 technology and you're going from one token to the other. Then in that case, because you're executing a swap, there'll be a sort of variable fee. But if you're just doing a sort of, hey, I'm going to turn my tier to tier.n over on another chain, guess what? Even if they're sort of like, you go from EVM to IBC, does not matter. You literally are playing you're paying a flat rate. So this is why I was talking about making sure you maximize your transaction size. You see here already twice it mattered. Here as a bonus and here as a median threshold, right? Remember, they made some accommodations for sort of older users. Another thing, transactions involving a commonly used chain, ETH were given a bonus multiplier. Yep, not surprising. Obviously, ETH mainnet is the worst, but hey, finding time to do it during the bear market would have been critical here. Also, if you sort of handled BTC, ETH, stablecoins, and other assets central to DeFi, I assume that also means Solana, you get a bonus multiplier, right? Solana. It's going to be great. And then transactions involving assets with minimal to no destination chain liquidity were given a negative multiplier. So this is where, using like overusing Merkley and stuff like that could actually hurt you, right? They also had a sort of community user eligibility. So you got, depending on like where you stood, like for example, the top 10,000 Pyth stakers got 2,000 W tokens. If you owned a Mad Lads, you got 16,000 tokens. If you owned a God, or a Ute, you got 2,000. So there was a ton of stuff around here. If you did the Solana Wormhole Galaxy campaign, you got 1,000 W. And this is exactly why it's so important to do the Galaxy campaigns. Of course, this Galaxy campaign was from 2022, but this really speaks to kind of how important Galaxy is from sort of all the other things that you can do for test nets and stuff. So this is something to look at. There's Discord, Zeely, and all this other participation. We won't get into it, but I really think there's a lot to learn from here. The next thing here is Camino Finance. So Camino Finance, people were pissed because they announced their airdrop. And once you announce an airdrop, people start farming it because you basically make it no risk for people. So because they were transparent as possible in their communications, well, they got a lot of feedback that even though like they were trying to be transparent, they kind of hurt their OGs. So what they're doing is they're making it right. So they're saying, hey, we're not forgetting you. We are going to adjust the Camino airdrop and sort of prevent this sort of dilution. I think it's a really great move. I put a link to the full details here. An allocation of Camino will be airdropped to OG users, as well as the points adjustment and sort of how those rates will change, right? And the reason they're doing that is to make sure that people who've earned points before don't get massively diluted by all the new entrants. And so if you haven't already, make sure you're in Camino Finance. I believe right now I'm making 78,000 points per day. I got a ranking of 12,920. It's not bad. Like I think I've told you guys my strategy in the past. I just borrow stable coins, use them to go long on Solana, and sort of supply the Solana back. So, and I also get to sort of farm Jupiter airdrop because I do the swaps there. Now, Hydra Protocol released their airdrop eligibility checker today. The claim starts on March 19th, so in 6 days. I didn't get involved in the early access farming. I thought it wasn't worth it. I did do some injective staking on this wallet and others, which, I'll get the Hydra token for this. 350 Hydra token is like 0.8 injective if you compare it to the launchpad price currently, which I think it will go higher than that when I will explain that in a second. And of course, injective testnet participant, I did it, but it was only during a certain period of time that it was qualifying people for. And a lot of people were upset. And, I talked to a few people yesterday who were telling me that they wish they didn't spend time on the testnet. They wasted a lot of time. I think I've heard 3 different people message me about this, one person in my private group. And literally, I keep telling you guys, testnet should be such a low priority. The fact that I didn't even qualify for it, I don't care. Like, honestly, it doesn't matter. There are so many better opportunities and way more better times to spend, or way better uses of your time. Here's an update on the Hydro Launchpad. Just so you guys know, we're almost at 400% with 1 day and 9 hours to go. So just so you guys know, definitively, I will be jumping into this. I did have to I had to cancel my unstaking of Injective so I can qualify. And from the way it works, to subscribe, you have to go from, my stake Injective amount is 30. So I'm probably gonna get up to 30 Injective on here tomorrow, but I probably won't be able to go higher than that because you need to sort of, you can only go to what your staked Injective amount is now. I've heard people say you can go beyond that. So definitely try. If you have more Injective, try to do it. And because it's so oversubscribed at this point with the overflow model, and likely will end up around 400 to 450% at a minimum, this means the token will at least 2 to 3x on launch because there's significant demand. So that's why I want to get in. Speaking of that, Crypto Valleys did their liquidity generation event yesterday. It literally took all of 12 minutes. They have a market cap of 900K on their yield token, and it goes live tomorrow. So, or I guess today in a few hours. So going to be pretty good. Like, tonight when it comes out, Likely going to be a great way to make money. If you're sort of like, how do you get into these opportunities? One, you can be really active in crypto Twitter and sort of find out. The other thing is you can join the private group and you can find out for yourself as well. For full transparency, on one wallet I put up 0.58 ETH. On another wallet I put 0.2 ETH up because I think it was really good. The next thing I want to talk about is Blast. So Blast is still going on. It's going to go on until May. Unfortunately, multipliers have gotten delayed till April 1st, but you can still earn points by just holding token on chain. In fact, this is actually the same chain that Crypto Valley is hosted on. Another update here is Linea has sort of gone live with their next set of quests, and I feel like I always got to mention this. If you open up a quest and it tells you to download something, just don't even bother doing it. It's not worth it. Every single time, it's like I say this, and people will ask me when the next set of quests comes up, hey, can I download this? It's just not worth it. Like literally, it's just not worth it. And you just want to get this number up, your number of LXP. And sort of the last thing I want to talk about is Aptos. So Aptos has some really powerful Galaxy quests. I've done 2 of the 3 they've posted so far. I think it is very important to prioritize this. They will have a massive airdrop. They've got a ton of allocation they haven't given out, and they take this very seriously because they do on-chain transactions, and then you sort of earn this like OAT or NFT or whatever. So what you have to do is, open up the Galaxy campaign. At first it'll look simple, just 2 Twitter accounts, but you have to also click on the View More button to see what you have to do. In this case, you have to go to Vibrant X, which is sort of a lending protocol. You just sort of get ETH if you want. So I bridged ETH over using Aptos Bridge. If you haven't used Aptos before, I recommend that you look up videos on how to do it. I haven't made a video on it yet. I probably will in the future. I used a Petra wallet because I think it's good. And I just used Aptos Bridge to transfer Ethereum over and got myself a layer 0 transaction in the process. But at the same time, I also got to get the WETH. I then supplied that on the protocol. And for the second one, all you had to do is basically take some of the WETH, swap it for some Aptos token, APT, then use this website to get sell tokens, lock it, and vote for the liquidity pool. Once you're done all of that, you then go to the Galaxy page, the Galaxy Quest, which is like right below, and then you submit your wallet address. You click on that button, it'll open up a Google form, and then you get to fill it in. And that's pretty much it. One more thing I would recommend is to make sure that this sort of gives you the qualification, because they will put your wallet address for Aptos. You have to make sure that that is already added in your profile. To do that, you have to go all the way to the top right, click on this, click on settings, click on here, click on settings, and then go to addresses, and then you're good to go. Anyways, guys, that was pretty much it. I'm really fading. I don't know if you can tell, my energy is really low. Sorry about that. I just did 2 hours of cardio, so I'm like pretty much dying. I'm gonna go to bed. Gonna wake up super early. But those are some really important airdrop updates, guys. I really hope that you go back and read what Wormhole did and start incorporating those changes, because you don't want to sit here and start spamming a bunch of fake transactions. Guys, the number one thing I'll always tell you when people ask me, how do you make sure you aren't flagged as a SIBO? Don't do things that normal people wouldn't. Normal people would not send $4 or $5 across chain and pay a $4 gas fee. Normal people wouldn't send 500 transactions in like 2 minutes. They want to see that people are doing it like as it comes up as necessary. So you can do it every so often, just have a reminder, or just push a few big transactions over time and you should be covered. So that's pretty much what I wanted to talk about in this video. Guys, we'll do some more videos later this week. You got my word on that. I want to thank you all for watching. We are literally 12 people from 9,000 subscribers. So make sure, if you haven't already, hit the subscribe button. If not, if you've already subscribed, like and share the video. Thanks for watching, guys, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.